What you hear in your head, in your mind, is this sort of almost like a disappointed laughter. You hear, you have become weak. Tell me, Dario, are you in control of the weapon? Or is the weapon in control of you? Hello and welcome to 1 in 20 D&D. I'm Gregory, your GM for the evening. This is the We Out Here crew, and we are continuing our Princes of the Apocalypse actual play game. This is session 69, fellas. So
nice.
That's the way it is. And so I'm going to start off with something a little different. I've actually prepared the intro for this evening. So without further ado, let's get started. Dark tidings and turmoil have recently beset the Desserin Valley. Earthquakes, flash floods, wind storms, and wildfires plague the people and livestock, causing fear and rumors of evil afoot in the somber hills. While the party of would-be heroes was underground, closing the first of what they suspect to be 4 elemental portals, and rescuing the dwarven emissary Rundorth, destruction has befallen Red Larch. Several weeks ago, the group had made friends in the simple town, a favored stop to many travelers and merchants making their way through the somber hills by way of the long road. Now, unknown to the party, black smoke rises above the town. Many of the denizens of Red Larch are injured or dead, and many of the familiar structures broken, tumbled, and in need of repair. Hoping to quell the trouble burgeoning in the Desserin Valley, our motley crew of adventurers in their quest to set things right has thus far faced 3 prophets of elemental evil and their minions and underlings. The first, Gar Shatterkeel, with his crab-clawed arm and covered in barnacles, who wielded the black iron trident Drown, was defeated in his Temple of Elemental Water, the Temple of the Crushing Wave. Dario currently holds Drown, and oddly he too is now covered in barnacles. Next, Arisi Kalinoth, Moon Elf Princess, who pretended to be an Avariel, or winged elf, fell atop a stone ziggurat in the Fane of the Eye. Her spear Wind Vein, now held by Marsashi, failed to protect her in service to elemental air, the Howling Hatred. And the third prophet defeated was none other than Marlos Urnrail, a Medusa that was the first prophet the adventurers had learned of. Marlos, prophet of elemental evil and leader of the Black Earth cult, met his end before he could complete a ritual to bring forth his master, the Mountain That Walks, Ogremok, Prince of Elemental Earth. The black iron warpick Ironfang, symbol of Marlos Urnrail's position and power, proved to be the key to closing the portal to the plane of Earth, the portal which Bovrig tumbled out of after being betrayed by his former partner. The portal that threatened to wreak havoc on the prime material plane. With knowledge and evidence of a fourth cult, the questions remain. Where is the fourth prophet? Are there other portals that must be dealt with, and where are they? Rising out of the depths of the mines and caverns, the party returned to the Sacred Stone Monastery, where Renwick the Lich gave them counsel and offered to once again keep them safe while they slept. Though some of the group was deeply unsettled by their encountering a lich, Dario, Holg, Oscar, and Crone assured everyone that Renwick, in his former life, was actually a hero and would keep his word to them, provided no one disturbed his studies and research. After much conversation, including discussion of how to bring Rundorth to safety, the party warily congregated in Renwick's dilapidated bedroom to try and find rest. Holg and Crone left the others and took the body of their fallen clan member, Ickard, heading outside to give him last rites upon a funeral pyre. Dario and Oscar accompanied their friends, and as they moved through the garden at the back of the monastery, the stone statues began to move as they approached. And that's where our story begins this evening. All right, friends. So we are in the garden at the back of the monastery, the Sacred Stone Monastery. And if you'll recall from last time, you had just exited out the back and found that even though you had passed by them before, the gargoyles were so well hidden and almost forgotten. You were sort of startled by them. I'm not going to give them any kind of a mechanical like surprise round or anything like that. We're just going to go ahead and start with initiative, and let's bring everybody here to the center of the action. I would like to say one thing, sort of an above table kind of little tidbit from the last session. I wanted to clarify for everyone that when you were speaking to Renwick about Windvane, the only thing he would have said was that it's definitely powerful magic, but he suspects that it's not old magic. The weapons were probably crafted somewhat recently. And I believe I mentioned at some point, maybe it was 2 or 3 sessions past, there was a vision. So I'm going to recall that vision for everyone now, where there is an image of a stone altar atop a stone ziggurat. And upon that stone altar, there are 4 weapons. There is a trident, a spear, a war pick, and a dagger, all crafted from similar metal, this dark black iron metal, all seemingly very beautifully crafted, ornately carved, and almost emanating a power. 4 figures stood around these items, 3 of which you are very familiar with because you have defeated them: Gar, Arisi, and Marlos. The 4th, I'm going to say, is shrouded in shadow. You're unfamiliar with this person, figure, individual, monster, who knows what. The only thing you might see would be what looks like possibly the outline of horns. Each one of these individuals reaches out a hand and picks up one of these mighty weapons. And you know which 3 of those weapons belonged to. But again, this dagger was picked up by this figure in the shadows. So that's a little bit of a backstory moment. That's, none of you have seen this. Maybe maybe Marsashi, maybe Dario, who perhaps even Crone, who has picked up Iron Fang, and Hulk picked up Iron Fang too. Maybe, it's in the back, of this kind of fuzzy subconscious area of your mind, this image of these individuals. And but that's another story for another time. Let's get into the action, fellas. First and foremost, we're gonna start with a little bit of battle music and get some interesting action happening, and then we're gonna start rolling combat. So let me pop out the combat tracker for you as we see these figures of stone come to life.
Quick question.
Yeah.
I thought Dario came out to watch this.
Yeah, there's 4 of you. The 4 of you. So the only ones that aren't out here are going to be Bovrig and Marsashi, who are sort of still guarding Rundorth. And this is going to go super fast, I'm sure. It's like
Nico,
you guys will probably just plow through these.
My token selected.
What was that?
Oh, I did. You're right. Let me roll mine. Yeah, it's a 9 for Crone. Sorry about that.
And we had not taken a rest, right, DM?
You have not yet gotten your rests. Okay. So you basically slogged all your way up to meet with Renwick. You have taken some of the brandy from the other room, and then you had a sort of a long conversation, but in game time I'm only gonna say it was maybe 20 minutes in game, like in actual time during like where you were having this conversation and discussing what sort of like what to do next or however. So yeah, you're sort of you haven't had a short or long rest, let's say, but you should have most of your. Well, maybe not. I don't recall. I think maybe you don't have.
If I remember, everyone except Holg is in pretty decent shape.
Yeah.
I don't remember what my health was. I know I got hit a couple times, so I'm gonna put myself at like half it. I figure that's a fair amount.
I was somewhere in the 20s. I don't remember the exact number, so I just went with 26.
Yeah, I know Holg was
something
low.
Reset our health bars.
We rested and then we said we were going to rest, and then we said no, we're going to go bury him in the bag.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
You were congregating in Renwick's bedroom, getting ready to sort of go to sleep, and essentially just having that conversation about like, all right, well, what do we do next? And you filled in Bovrig and Marsashi on some of the things that have happened to you all. Marsashi gave you a little bit of background of like, he sort of infiltrated the fire cults, the Scarlet Moon. What's it called? Ah, shucks. Now I gotta check. Scarlet Moon Hall. That's what it is. The Scarlet Moon Hall. He said that's how he came. So he said that's how he came down into the temple, and sort of when he rushed away from the danger he was in, that's when he stumbled into you all, because he essentially his group got overwhelmed. He transformed him. He shapeshifted and scurried away and hid. And in that form of like, I think maybe it was like a lizard or something like that, because you've probably, at least some of you, noticed that the short shapes he changes into and the creatures that he summons have all been in some way or other serpentine
Slithery.
or lizard, lizard-like or dragon-like, or like there's definitely kind of a theme happening with him and his summonings. So when he showed up, you all didn't know it, but he was essentially a small lizard that was like creeping and crawling through room and cracks and doors and that kind of thing, and kind of saw you guys fight Arisi's like lieutenant, who was on was it a griffin or whatever it was that they were, mantic or whatever the heck it was that he was flying on. He sort of caught the tail end of that combat, and that was when he made himself, like shortly after that. Then you went inside and had some more, you dealt with some of the cultists, and it was like after he saw you guys do that, he decided, okay, I'm going to make myself known to these people, because obviously they're fighting the good fight, so to speak. And in the same conversation, Bovrig also gave you sort of a little bit of... he essentially said he came down through the monastery, so he knew, like, when you were all going back, he was basically like, yeah, this is how we came down here. But there's some point where he essentially, it's like he came down. He recalls coming down that monolith, the obelisk with the staircase that spirals down around it, which is what you've gone up and down now 1 or 2 times, right? And this is where you came back up last time. He went down there. He was doing his own thing with what he says with his partner. That's basically all he's ever said. And he doesn't give you names or any other information. And essentially, he has probably explained that at some point he blacked out, and the next thing he knew, he was like, he was like breathing in chalk and dirt and mud. And then he's like, what he freaked out, and just like every ounce of his being fought and pushed, and he basically, more or less through like force of will, shoved himself back through the portal. And so there is a little bit of a time gap for Bovrig. He doesn't really know how long he had been in that portal. It could have been minutes. It could have been hours. It could have been days, weeks. It's sort of, he's still trying to put together. Through conversing with you all, he probably figures it was less than a day. Like, but if anyone has ever blacked out in any, you could be blacked out for 10 minutes and it feels like 5 seconds. You could be blacked out for 5 seconds and it feels like 5 hours. So he's kind of not exactly sure what happened and how he ended up there. Now, I will say one last little detail that, again, above table, it might just help fill in. You do recall that when Arisi was doing whatever ritual she was trying to do at the Stone Ziggurat, she had an individual there that, as far as you can tell and from what they told you, she was getting ready to sacrifice them. So you helped free him. You got him out, and so it's not entirely unreasonable to think that, was Bovrig offered as a sacrifice, even though he didn't know that's what happened, and he certainly didn't agree to anything, like he wasn't a party to any of that. But it wouldn't be out of question to imagine that maybe that's what happened, but you guys didn't, And again, that's one of those things, like last session, I said it at the end of the game last session, to me was an awesome session. Mostly, it was a hugely just like an all RP session, which was fantastic because it felt like you guys started filling in a lot of gaps for each other, which is cool and awesome. And I'm definitely going to allow for more of that as we continue forward in this story, because we're getting to some really cool points into where now it's like probably things are going to start happening a little faster, or at the very least, there's some really heavy dark stuff that needs to be dealt with as quickly as you guys can manage. So that's sort of where you finished the conversation, and to that end, that's what led Holg to decide, and with Crone and all of you sort of counseling him, that's what Hulk basically decided. Okay, we need to do the best we can for Iggard right now, and we're gonna go out back and we're gonna take care of this. So you collected some wood. You got probably a jug or two of the brandy to use as like a starter to start the pyre. And you know with arm loads, you probably each have an armload of wood that you could just drop right now. And you're heading outside, and as you were quietly, somberly moving out into the garden where you thought, okay, this will be a good place because it's at least a little protected by the garden walls. And that's when we find ourselves right here now with 2 gargoyles staring at you guys. So hopefully that fills in some of the details. And one last tidbit is that the sacrifice was a commoner named Dareth. It's not super important, but I just wanted to remind you guys. You definitely did. That was actually when Marsashi had just after Marsashi had sort of joined you. Hulg was actually an ochre jelly at the time when that all went down. And so, so little flashback there for the moment. But so let's get into the action here. It looks like, wow, Oscar, top of the order there, my friend. Let's have you go first.
As soon as the statue starts moving, Oscar's just gonna freeze. Do you guys see that? Damn it. And I will turn around and I will attempt to cast message pointing through the window next to me.
Okay.
And I will send a message that says, Bovric! Statues! Gargoyles! This way!
All right. I am in this case, I'm not concerned about the technicalities of message. There's stone walls and all that in between you all, but I think for the sake of the story, it's more cool if you maybe even Oscar, you poke your head back through the door. Oh, you're over there. Oscar, if it's all right, I'd like to put you back over by where Dario is. Is that okay?
Oh, that's fine.
Because I feel like Hulg would have sort of been, quote, leading the procession, and you and Dario were, agreed to kind of like tag along and help out since you guys are all, comrades at this point. So I think it makes for a great scene where, Oscar, being the first to react, notices what's going down, pokes his head back through the door, and sends his message to Bovrig. So Bovrig, in your head, you hear Oscar's voice, statues moving, help, or some such like that. So, or Oscar, if you want to say it again, what you said, that would be perfect.
Oh no, that's work.
Excellent. Awesome.
And then as my bonus action, I'm gonna say, all right, gents, it's not the first time. We've got it down by now. Get in there and crack some hits. So everyone can have 11 temporary hit points, and if you would like to use your reaction to move your speed, feel free. Now that will not apply to Bovric because he's too far away.
Sure. Tell me what the name of that. Oh, that 11 temps is great for Hulg. Tell me what the name of that trait is again, or
Mantle of Inspiration.
Yes, Mantle of Inspiration. Love it.
A variation of my Bardic Inspiration.
Excellent. All right. Anything else for Oscar?
Okay. What? So, no, we close the door. That's it. That'll be it. So
you can move.
Oh yeah. No, I'm fine. Everyone else, you can use your reaction to move right now if you would like.
And we can say the door is open.
I'm fine. I got good health.
Right,
I'm not that scared.
Right on. All right. So Bovrig, almost in the same instant, Bovrig, you hear in your head this message from Oscar. What would you like to do?
All right. So Bovrig's gonna get that message and answer the call to help. How can I make it outside in one turn?
I would say you can probably get to the door. Let's see what's your movement, and we'll figure it out. So do you want to say anything to Marsashi?
Yeah, I guess relay the message to Mar. Yeah, honestly, Bovrig might just tear off in his.
I freaking love it. All right.
Dwarven focus.
Perfect. All right, so go ahead and move your movement, and then as a bonus action or action, maybe you can you can probably take the dash. So your movement is 25 or 30?
30.
Sweet. So, so let's go ahead. So 5, 10, 15, 20. You can go ahead and start moving.
All right.
And opening the door is part of your movement, so that don't even worry about that. So 5, 10.
Okay.
30 is to like right there, sort of next to Renwick's desk. And then another 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So you could get right to the door behind Oscar and sort of you can look through, but it'll take your action to dash.
Oh, right. Okay, utilizing dash. Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Cool.
Hey, welcome to the party.
You can take a bonus action if you have one that you would like to use.
I'm gonna hold off on that.
Perfect. All right, next in line, Holg. What would you like to do? I'm assuming you're gonna drop the bundle of wood and dash over to where you are now?
Yeah.
Perfect.
I'll do that. Drop what I'm carrying, and then I'm going to try and grab this and just take it to the ground.
Sure. Do your move, man.
So, athletics and athletics.
Yes, sir.
And I think I still had a rage left, but I don't remember.
Honestly, if you're not tracking it, I have no way to know.
I was, and then we hit the long rest button.
Oh, shoot.
I thought I had one, but
I
I don't.
you had one,
sure.
and I had 2.
Yeah. So
I don't think either of us was worried about being out.
Well,
yeah.
It's not going to matter. The gargoyle does not resist your grapple. And let's see if it can resist. Oh my goodness. It is not going to, just for kicks, I'm going to roll. But, that was such a good roll. So it puts up a fight as you try to take it down to the ground. But it is unable to resist your power and your rage in this moment.
Okay. That's all. I guess I don't know if I had a rage, so I won't rage, but I just will take it down to the ground and go.
I'm okay with you raging. It's not going to break anything, bud. Go for it.
Okay. Right, John, brother.
Cool. I'll put a little red dot on me.
All right. So.
Yes, little red.
The other the gargoyle that's closer to Crone is actually the first of the two to act. And so it basically is going to lunge out at the creature it sees right in front of it. And it will... Let's see. It is going to try to bite you and is going to try to claw you. The bite is a 21 to hit.
That hits.
But an 8 only with the claws.
Claws
the bite
miss.
is going to do 8 piercing damage as these stone fangs clamp down on or scratch against maybe a shoulder or forearm. And the next one is going to do essentially the same thing, except it has a squishy piece of meat right next to it in the form of Holg. Bite. 13 is a miss. Claw. 14 is a miss. So, and you were grappling it, so yeah, it's like lashing around. It's twisting its head around, trying to get you. It tries to like slash at your arms and legs, but you just, it's like you barely even notice that it's trying to attack you. That's it for the gargoyles. Dario, it's your turn.
All right. Okay, he's gonna come up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And he's gonna queue up a banishing smite.
Okay.
Because Dario wants to take a break. He's really tired. He's sick of all this fighting.
I'm sure it's time to go to sleep.
So, with that being said, let's see if I can hit him.
That's going to be a massive amount of damage if you do.
So, we've got 21. And do I have advantage on it?
We're
this
still
the one
using
grappled?
flanking for the time being, and it is currently grappled. So yeah, let's say
Doesn't matter.
It's
Still
prone
the same.
anyway, so you would because it's prone.
Yeah. Okay, 5d10 force.
I mean, 40 plus. Let's see your regular damage from drown.
Oof, 22.
No, I'm gonna use the 40, Bo. It rolled for you, and you rolled 2
Oh, it
10s,
did?
dude. It was massive. Yeah. When you clicked the
Wait,
spell,
when?
10.
it gave you 40.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know it did that. Holy
That was
crap.
sweet. So I'm gonna
Oh.
let you have it.
There we go. Okay. And drown also hits with that.
Yeah,
so that's
Another
18 plus 40, 58 damage.
Yeah. So at this point, Dario, you've faced these gargoyles a few times, and you know when you first faced these creatures, it was really dang hard to hit these things and to damage them. Very much like Holg and Crone, when you hit them with regular weapons, they just didn't seem to take that much damage. You know, like hitting a stone wall with a sword. However, in this instance, would you like to tell me how you shatter this creature in one blow?
So as Dario's running up, he coats the end of the trident with this. It's like this shimmering force, and it's quivering. As he stabs down, it crunches the gargoyle in, and then it just crumbles.
Nice. Yeah, you almost all hear this little bit of a like as the blade itself starts to like hum and vibrate with this energy quivering in the air, and the trident just obliterates the first gargoyle. Well done. You have another action or another attack or no?
Don't have movement. So
Don't have enough movement. Okay, fair enough.
that's my turn.
All right. Crone, it is your turn.
Crone is going to turn towards the gargoyle that just bit him. Yeah, bit him. And he swells up in his rage, and he says to it, you chose the wrong ritual to interrupt. And
Nice.
he's gonna swing with his maul, Malazar.
Of course.
Maybe if it rolls.
Oh,
it did. Oh, sorry, and it is supposed to be great weapon because I default to that. So 12 to hit.
A 12 misses. These things are tough. They,
I meant to
they have
reckless.
stone
Oh, well.
skin.
For this one, I will reckless because I'm supposed to do that to start. But,
Sure.
19.
19 is enough. Their armor class is 15, so you
Excellent.
can easily damage this one.
Let me make sure that's turned on, and then damage. 36 damage to
36.
this one.
So you smash this thing. You watch as like one of its arms gets blasted clean off. This huge chunk of stone thuds to the ground a few feet away from you, and it takes a massive blow from your hammer.
Excellent. And I am going to... Oh, I've already used my bonus.
Yeah.
So that should be it.
All right, so that's one round down. Oscar, back to you.
Oscar will look at the detonated gargoyle on one side, the limbless now gargoyle on the other, and go, all right, sure. And will draw his dragon blade longsword, and with the most ridiculous battle cry, start running toward it with a sword in both hands, going, yeah!
Nice.
I have just enough movement to get there.
Yeah, do it.
Ooh, wrong button.
Get that intimidation check.
18 to hit
18 is enough. Its armor class is 15.
for 8 damage.
Sweet. So you follow up, and as Crone swings across with this mighty maul, Oscar slides up alongside, maybe even takes a knee with this daring flash, and just slashes across.
No, not at all. Absolutely not.
No?
Full blown running in, haphazard, swinging it like a moron.
I love it. Even better.
I like the image that he comes running in as like Crone misses his first one and adjusts for the second one to like blast him back so he can come in and slash.
Nice. Yeah, the gargoyle spins almost to face Oscar as you come in and just slice down its torso. It is unfortunately still intact, although it looks like it's about ready to try to take off because it is nearly dead. Anything else for Oscar?
Oscar will stand there like with his sword stuck in a crack left from the hammer and just look over at Crone. That was supposed to be it. What now?
You do a good job. Now you let one of us finish it. Hey, Hulk.
Nice.
Yeah.
Bovrig first.
That was awesome. All right, Bovrig, it is your turn. Would you like to try to finish this creature off?
Yeah, Bovrig's gonna poke his head through the doors, see the situation, and he's gonna give a shout. Die, you stony abominations! He's gonna charge in there and use his 2 attacks. And then, also, is this a good time to action surge?
Well, I mean, it's almost dead. You can probably, if you hit it once, you're probably going to destroy it.
All right. Okay, yeah. This is going to come in and jump in the air, put all his weight behind, a nice smack to the head of the gargoyle.
I love it. Are you going to step into the garden, or are you just throwing from the doorway?
Yeah, sorry, stepping it. We're running through that doorway into the garden.
Go ahead and move your token where you want to be. Oh, you want to get all the way up in there?
All up in there.
Sure.
And
can you have enough movement from where you were?
If he has 30, yes.
Just enough. That's fine. That works.
Perfect. All right. And
getting into melee. Love it.
Yeah, I've been ranged this whole time. I'm like, it's time.
Meanwhile, Oscar's sword is stuck in a gargoyle and he's just going, hit it!
Nice.
Hit it! Hit it!
So that's 20, dude. That's a hit. So just click where in the text of the chat where it says Dwarven Thrower. You can click on that and it'll roll damage for you. Bam. So 14 bludgeoning is more than enough, even with. Or do you use 1 or 2 hands? 2 hands?
2 hands.
Yeah. So oddly, that was less damage one two-handed than one-handed, but it didn't matter because you did more than enough. So what does it look like when Bovrig comes up and just finishes this creature off? It's missing an arm. There's a dragonbone longsword stuck in its chest in the cracks and crevices that are forming in its body.
Yeah, he's just going to jump in the air and knock that thing's head clean off its shoulders.
Nice. With this mighty leap sailing through the air, Bovrig comes down and crack, the head goes and thuds across the ground, and with that the combat comes to an end because that was an easy encounter for you all. Like I said, you guys are at this point now where you're realizing that unless you're hugely outnumbered or you face some terrifying, really powerful foes, you can pretty quickly handle most situations. So, with stone dust in the air, what would you all like to do now?
Never mind, Hulk. He's got it.
Can somebody just push over all the other ones so we know we don't have to deal with them later?
probably would have attacked us by now. It's probably fine.
Crone will go and push over a couple to be sure.
Thanks.
Sure. None of the others seem to move at all. So even when you go over, if you like just tap it with your, weapon or give it a little bit of a shove, none of that, even if you knock them over, none of them are going to have any reaction. There are, as far as you can tell, they are just stone statues.
Thanks, Crone.
You're welcome, buddy.
I'll start piling up some sticks.
Okay. So for the sake of the narrative, we will say that over the next, let's say 15, 20 minutes, you clear a space in the middle of this kind of overgrown garden, push back some of the weeds and whatnot, throw the remnants of the gargoyles off to the corners and get the, stone out of the way. And you make a very simple pyre, laying Ickard in the center, dousing the wood with some of the brandy to make it alight quickly. And then is Holg going to start the funeral pyre, or how do you want to do that?
Yeah, he'll cut the bit of fabric that was kind of the clan dressing.
Okay.
Pull that off, start the fire, say a few words, and then kind of stare over at Crone and go, "This is the part where we're supposed to swear vengeance on whoever killed him, but
Awkward.
There is a little issue at the
I think
he'll
maybe
be.
we swear vengeance on the people who took him from us."
That's what I was going to say. Swear vengeance on those that brought him, that made it so we had to kill him.
And then Holg will pull out one of his older daggers, the one from his father, set it on Ickard's body and say, "You have my sword. This life and the next."
Crone is going to take. He's going to set the. No, we were going to take the personal items. No, he's going to set a bunch of the personal items on the body and say, "You'll need these." And that's it.
Awesome. So there's this somber moment where the three of you watch as these two clanmen basically say goodbye to their fallen comrade, their fallen clanmate, and the fire is gonna burn for a bit. It's it takes a while, and any of you that care to can stay the whole time. If you would rather head inside and get some rest, that Marsashi's now in the room on his own, so perhaps waiting for what's going on.
To be fair, this has only been 12 seconds.
It's only, well,
I mean, before the pyre, I mean.
Yeah, totally. So, in fact, he probably at some point calls through and is like, "Hey, you guys okay out there?" or something, like just to check on y'all.
Yeah.
Nothing
We're
to
out
be
here.
concerned about.
Good one. I love it. Oscar coming in. Way to go there. Call back. So
Well,
with that
was all very sweet. I think I'll turn in for the night.
Bobby
I
makes his way
imagine-
back too.
Yeah, I would imagine that, after a suitable amount of time for each of you, you sort of pay your respects in your own way and find your way back into the inside of the monastery, into Renwick's bedroom. And I would imagine probably Crone and Holg are going to be there for a little longer. Does Dario linger, or does he go in when Oscar and Bovrig?
Be right back.
Sure.
Or will probably linger for a bit, but he's not going to wait the whole time.
Yeah. And how about Holg and Crone?
Holg will wait until everybody else is gone. And then when he has a moment to himself and the fire's kind of dwindled, he'll just say, "I'm sorry. It was all my fault." And head back in.
Very nice.
Crone's going to have stepped just inside, but like not moved further in until Hulk started moving.
Okay. So I imagine it's at most a few more minutes before Hulk then follows inside. So, you all, are you going back inside there, Hulk?
Yeah, after he says his piece, he'll stare at the fire one more time, and then, or the embers one more time, and then march in.
Mm-hmm. So you two are out there for a while. The sort of the pyroclastic alcohol helped speed things along a bit, for sure. And it still takes a while. And, there's this sadly familiar smell of burning flesh and hair. It stings your nostrils and perhaps even brings tears to your eyes. And there's this odd quiet throughout the canyon that the monastery sits in. You don't hear any night creatures, even night insects or anything like that. It's strangely still outside. And at some point, a few hours later, you wander yourself back into the bedroom, at which point we'll say Marsashi has then gone to sleep. You've sort of started a kind of a routine watch cycle. Does that seem reasonable to everyone?
And as usual in places like this, Oscar just goes to sleep on his turn.
Right. Fortunately, I'm going to bring Hulk back in the room there and everybody back in. So fortunately, of course, you have Renwick keeping an eye on things. So Rundorth had asked that somebody kind of keep watch. And if I recall, Crone had said he was going to post up behind the door, essentially like with his back to the door, and sort of sleep that way maybe. So you all fall asleep in turn. Everybody roll a D20 for me.
Before we do that, do you want to toss Rob into the call? He's back.
Oh, spectacular. Yes, this is a great time to take a break. That is perfect.
Oh, yeah. Intermission.
Intermission. We'll be right back. So we're going to do a replay. I apologize. Thank you for your patience. This is what it's. Damn it. Okay.
All right, everybody, we'll freeze this frame.
Take 2.
Put the voiceover in, and then
Right.
everyone do the start again.
Oh,
There we go.
there, but that would suck because it'll look ridiculous. I'll read it
Look
quickly and
awful.
nicely. I apologize. Sorry, guys. All right, so okay, welcome back. Thanks for that. We're glad to have the whole team here with us now. So you all come back into Renwick's bedroom. You are ready to have your rest. You have posted a watch, and when it is Oscar's turn to take watch, he wakes up as normal and several minutes later is back asleep. It's at that time that you all... Well, your sleep is troubled this night. This applies to all of you. Half-remembered figments and warnings seem to hover in your mind. Then a shadowy figure strides into your mind's eye and brushes aside your wandering thoughts. "Hear me well, fool," it sneers. "You have offended the elder elemental I. For your sacrilege, others shall be punished. At sunset the day after tomorrow, we will destroy the town of Belliard. You can try to stop us, but you will fail. None shall survive. This is the price of your defiance." A new vista forms in your dream. You are standing on a hillside above a small town. A circle of shadowy cultists stands nearby, gazing at a glowing orb in the center of the circle. The orb pulses, and you awaken with a start. And as you do, you look to the others around you and notice that they've just come awake too.
Anyone else just have a weird dream?
I think I just soiled my britches.
Oh,
So it
not
wasn't just
another
me.
one.
Anybody?
can't
Dario, how many
sleep in
weird
peace.
dreams do you have?
It's like every other night. Come on. You guys don't?
How long has that been going on?
Oh, years.
Yeah, that's
You
not
should
normal.
probably talk to someone about that. Not me, but somebody.
You should see a cleric.
That boy's not right.
Look, the important part is, did anyone recognize that one? I mean, they
Do I
talk like some of the others that we've kicked around. But
Yeah.
didn't seem familiar to me.
No.
Do I recognize the town name of Belliard?
Some of you have actually
do.
traveled through Belliard, so you do know where Belliard is. It is from where you're at now. It is to the northeast, on the opposite side of the Desserin River. It's well, anybody that's interested, you could give me a survival check to try to calculate in your mind or guess about how far it is from where you are.
20 for Crone.
Yeah. And 16 Holg. Yeah. So you're fairly certain that
It's like 3 days away.
it's at least 20 days away. It's probably
I got a 3. So
you surmise that if you push yourselves, probably make it there by sunset the following day. But you'll have to it'll be a bit of a haul. You'd have to leave pretty much at first light, and you'd pretty much have to like go through the day to get there. It's here actually I have a good idea. Let's for perspective, because it'll certainly help. Let's jump over for a moment to the other map, and we will all take a look at the Deathrin Valley. See that from where you are now in the Sacred Stone Monastery. Yeah. So Belliard is again on the eastern side of the stone bridge, which you have crossed, or at least some of you have, and certainly probably all of you know where it is. But you're looking at it's like, you guess it's about 16 miles, and let's put it this way. You know you're going to be hiking through hills. You imagine it's like you're pretty much going to have like just enough time to get there to prevent it. If you're lucky and things go well, you would get to the outskirts of town by maybe midday of the the day after tomorrow, which is what they said would sunset of the day after tomorrow. So you basically have a day and a half or 2 days, let's call it at the most, to get there. And you think it's going to take probably a good day and a half to get there because you're going through hills. So it's like, even though it's only 16 miles as a straight shot, crossing the river is going to be a little bit, and so it's a little bit of a trek.
Oh, well.
But you can get there. You're fairly certain you can get there.
Can I roll maybe let's say, let's see what skills I got. Because I'm a local technically. So would I know maybe like a faster way or a shortcut probably?
That's a good question. I would say that's again probably going to be a survival check. I could give you advantage.
Right.
If you feel like you're fairly familiar with the Summer Hills. And you're a druid. So, wow, you didn't even need advantage. 23. Yeah.
Yeah.
You sort of take a moment and like think about where you believe you are in the area, and you suppose that you could possibly even let me see. Let me do a quick measurement here. 16. Yeah, 16.
Say I know a quick way across the river.
I would say you are actually thinking that it would possibly be better to follow the road, because then you're looking at maybe like 15 miles a day, and you know that there's a path. You know that there's this path, the large path that you could catch up with, and then meet up to the stone trail, which would lead you into Belliard. Probably rather than so. The straightest way to get there, it's at least 16 miles from where you're at, right? Possibly even, yeah, it's like at least 16 miles. That being said, you'd have to cross the Deathrin River, which is a challenge. Whereas if you more or less follow the river north, or even maybe take the large path, even though it's a little bit out of the way in a sense, overall, it's probably the faster way to get there.
All right.
Double the distance, but you can move at least double the speed.
Yeah. And most likely it's going to be the safer way to go too.
All right. Versace will relay these options to the group.
I think at some point after you've been talking amongst yourselves for a few moments, Rundorth probably wakes up and kind of asks like, what were we discussing? Everything all right? He's like, rubbing his eyes.
There's been a complication.
Yes.
4 dreams and threats.
More like promises, but yeah.
Threats? Threats from who, then?
The best we can surmise is the surviving prophet, given that the other three are dead, and there's very few other people out to get all of us. As, you know.
At the moment.
This is probably a bad thing to say, but if we know the prophet's not home, should we go wait for them rather than wearing ourselves out to get to Belliard?
I have an idea. I think you're right. I don't think we should exhaust ourselves to get to Belliard, but we also can't leave the people completely in the dark about what's happening. I think our best bet is the much shorter trip to, well, the only place we've yet to visit. Cult-wise, we've recently gotten our hint of that direction. Worst case scenario, we can always go below and walk underneath. But we do have to warn the people of Belliard. Does anyone
How can we get a
sending?
message out there?
Marsashi, do you have sending by chance?
Utility spells? Nah.
Well, the hope is that Renwick will. And if so, then, well, I have an idea.
Only utility is more snakes.
I don't think a snake is going to get there. Let me touch base with Renwick and, well, I have a plan.
Okay.
I'm going to head through the door into the laboratory.
Okay, let's. I'll bring you back over here. Sacred Stone Monastery.
Renwick, I know you're terribly busy, but we've had a bit of a magical encounter in our sleep. May interest you academically, or not. But I have a request of you.
Yes.
We have slain 3 prophets of the cults. We know there's a 4th, and quite frankly, I think that he just gave us all a very bad dream. Promising to destroy Belliard, a town. I don't know if it was around when you were concerned with such things, but it's a town not so far away.
I am familiar with the town of Belliard.
We have to get a message there. None of us have the magic capable of sending word that far. Any chance you do?
Message. I am afraid that is outside of my capabilities. I could peer in upon whatever disturbance you think might be afoot, but sending messages has never been a concern of mine. I keep to myself here and only use my magic to peer in upon the outside world only occasionally.
Sorry, I couldn't find a mute button.
It's all good. More than half more than half the group are dads, so we get it.
So no magical way to get a message that far, then.
I apologize, but that is not something I have any concern with.
Well, thank you anyway, Renwick. And I'll turn around and go back into the bedroom. Well,
Okay.
I know this is a stupid idea, but if we could make it there in a day and a half, we could probably send a bird there faster. And I can talk to animals, and I'm pretty sure the druid can do it better than me.
If they're snakes.
so
Specifically snakes.
Oh boy.
So we write a message and send a bird.
Carrying a snake?
I can send 3 different creatures.
One of them could even be like really big.
Like really big.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we could cover all of our bases, write the message multiple times, and send it as many ways as possible and hope that it gets there in time.
I said it might get there faster if Ulk just throws it.
As long as you don't ask me to write.
Put his name
We're
on
still
a
working on whole greeting. He hasn't quite got there yet. No, I'm just kidding. Whole reads just fine. I think you read. I don't remember.
Yeah.
His handwriting isn't the greatest, but
Well, I say we do that. I have a message to send. That's probably our best bet, because quite frankly, I don't think it does anyone any good for us to sprint up there, arrive exhausted, still not knowing what's going on or how they plan to destroy the town. Yes.
Gentlemen, let us not forget, I do need an escort out of here, and Belliard would suit my purposes just fine. As a matter of fact, Belliard was indeed the last town, the last bit of civilization our band of emissaries were at before we were ambushed. We had left there several weeks ago now, I suppose it is, and I could probably procure passage back on my way to Mirabar if you all could see me there safely. I would imagine this 4th prophet you mention is probably going nowhere, and I would propose or suggest that if there is a possibility you can prevent the harming of innocents, perhaps that is the more honorable task and path. I have said my piece. And he kind of folds his arms and kind of stands back to let you all figure out what you're going to do.
Well,
That is a good point.
They expect us to be there. Being there plays to their strengths. Being here plays to ours.
look, we don't
We've
even
already
know how they're going to destroy the village.
You do.
It's got to be some.
Actually, you have already prevented one of these from being used.
So I had
Did?
thought they had one of the cults had done something like this to Red Larch and completely decimated it. I didn't think we prevented it. We just came back and we're like,
you're
"Oh,
absolutely right.
we made an oopsie here. We were
That's-
not here for this."
Thank you,
That's when we
Sam.
left.
You're absolutely right. So, yeah, you had witnessed some strange cultist individuals or something. This was before you sort of knew how serious the threat was, and you're kind of like, yeah, we don't want to mess with them. And they basically set off some kind of a magical device that caused an earthquake, which did cause some damage earlier. This would have been a few weeks ago now, before you all went down to Waterdeep and came back, essentially, I think. So you have a sense of how potent those orbs can be.
The longer we take to deal with them here, the more time they have to make more.
Well, if the orb has to be at the village, then that's where they'll be.
Well, okay, I thought we have not heard of any other incidents like this one besides Red Larch. And this fourth call has had all the time in the world. We haven't bothered them, touched them, anything. And this is their first one. So realistically, I don't think they can pump these out like nothing. So it might be best if we try to prevent this one and redeem Red Larch.
Well, that would be the plan then. We take Marsashi's advice, stick to the road for better mileage.
Well, if we're dragging the old man with us, we're gonna need to anyway.
True. Also, when we get closer, I can send Kron and Holg up in the air with flight so they can do some scouting. If we can catch them before they get close to said village, probably better. I don't know how this magical object works, but it's not good to be near the village or populated area.
On a hillside, right? That's what was in the dream.
What was the
Yes.
question?
Yeah, on the hillside is where they gathered.
So the vision you all had was that they're essentially up somewhere, maybe on a hillside up above Belliard or something like that.
How far away did Belliard look from there?
Well, Holg and Crone and Marsashi had a quick discussion. Basically, they all believe they could probably get there in about a day and a half.
Just on a hill overlooking the village, probably not far.
Mm-hmm. They would suspect. So the more, as you discuss it, you can sort of come to the conclusion that as long as you're able to move efficiently, essentially, to the to the along the road and to the town, you probably within the day and a half ish, you should be able to get to Belliard. And then, like you just said, there might be some need to like scout around and actually locate them, but that's not that it might be close, it might be cutting it close, but you suspect you could get there in time to prevent it. Let's see. What are you guys' passive insights?
Oh,
11.
I think 11. Pretty sure.
10.
10.
Okay.
3.
13?
13.
I think you said 3, but you probably mean 13. I can't hear you, Rob. Sorry.
You said the insight?
Passive
Your
insight.
passive
So 10
insight, so you
plus
add
whatever
10.
your insight score is.
Oh yeah, 13 then.
13. Okay. So anybody higher than 13?
Trying to find out.
I would also investigation might work in this case too, because you're sort of puzzling this out in your heads. So I'd accept passive investigation.
It's 15 for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Exact
Look,
same.
we can think
Okay.
about this on the road. We need to get going. I'm sure we'll sort it out. I have some messages to send if any of you could collect some birds or something. I think the more we send, the better, in case they don't get there.
Wait, for calculating passive insight, that would be the number you have for insight as well as your total wisdom?
It's
Nope,
Be
just
plus
add 10 to
10
it.
10 plus your insight skill.
insight
Okay.
score. Mhm.
Gotcha. Okay.
Any passive skill is basically 10. It's like it's also called taking 10. It's like as if you're not actively engaged in doing something. So as you're discussing it, I would say that you can probably, at least Oscar and Marsashi would probably have an idea that, whoever that figure in this image or this vision was clearly making a threat, and they're absolutely sincere in whatever information they were conveying. Whether or not they're accurate about, like, there's nothing you can do to stop it. I mean, that's what any sort of, threat is going to, anyone that's threatening is going to say some such thing. So, like, again, using your understanding of the surroundings and the terrain and so forth, you're like, well, wait a minute, because we can probably get there late in the day on, the following day, late in the afternoon or early in the afternoon or whatever, which would still probably give you, because they said at sunset, so that would probably give you, at worst an hour, but maybe at best 3 or 4 hours to try to locate them and prevent whatever they're doing. So there's a better than average chance that you would be able to, in fact, stop them. Like a decent chance. That's sort of what you, by talking together over a couple minutes, you could probably figure out.
So that's why if we're going to go, we go. Right?
Right.
Absolutely. Let's go.
You see Rundorth sort of is nodding his approval in the corner.
While we head to that path that Marsashi talked about, Holg, you said you can talk to animals.
It'll take time. If we're moving, I may not have it.
I have talked to animals.
Grab a few birds on the way. And I'm going to pull a piece of paper out of my pack as we start heading toward the path, and I will be writing a message on slips of paper.
Awesome.
And when I get to
out,
the end of each message, I'm going to put some ink on a signet ring that I pull out of my bag that I don't usually wear, but it is in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to ink the ridges and seal each of them at the end of the message. And
Cool.
I am going to send to you what each of these pieces of paper says in a DM.
Awesome.
When we get outside, I'm going to start pulling from the fuzzy bag.
Yeah.
Bag of tricks.
Yeah.
All right. How are we catching some birds?
So
We usually got them dead.
First and foremost, let's say that a lot of this happened in the early hours of the morning. And so you're able to, so you go ahead and take your long rests. Everybody's, you weren't even though you weren't necessarily sleeping, you weren't like being wildly active. And even though Holg and Crone were up a little bit late the evening before, same thing. You weren't like engaged in, after you dealt with the gargoyles, there would still have been enough time to have had a sufficient rest. So so go ahead and take long rests for everybody. You're all back to full hit points, all your spells, etc. You've also, again, now are all level 10, so like or equivalent for Holg. So you all have got, it's like you're rejuvenated and ready. Rundorth is again at your sort of basically taking your lead and just willing to follow, but his attitude shifted again for anyone that's paying attention. The evening before, when you sort of introduced him to Renwick, it upset him a bit. Like, it freaked him out big time and made him sort of question the sort of like the morality of your group and what kind of individuals you all are. Like, on the one hand, you freed him and helped him get himself out of that prison or captivity, and you've promised to find the others, it's as well. And on the other hand, it's like you seem to have some kind of relationship with a lich, and he's kind of like, oh, what is this? Can I really trust these people? But hearing you all discuss and come to the conclusion that, well, the best thing might be to try to go and save that town if we can do it, and then deal with the prophet afterward, it heartens him, and it's very obvious to anyone that's paying attention. There's a little bit of a pep in his step. It's like he's regaining some of kind of who he was, in a sense. Like, you've nourished him, he's freed again. He's got a little bit of hope back. And now he sees that you guys are going to essentially attempt to do the right thing in his mind. It's obvious that he approves and is in a much better mood as you all set out from the monastery. So Oscar starts doing his letters. Crone, did you roll, or do you want to roll for the creatures that you are able to pull?
Yeah, I'll pull those now.
Okay. And what is your intention with them?
So as they come out, it depends on what it is. So let's see what they are first. 1, 2, 3. Excellent. So for the badger and the boar, I'm going to tell them to, I don't know how much they're going to know where the city is, but I'm going to try to direct them. Like, it says I can command them how they move, what action they take. I guess it's just on the... It specifically says the next turn, so I don't know how well this will work. But for those two, I want to direct them to go to the city and carry the letter and leave them there. So for number 8, that's the giant elk.
Badger.
Yeah, it's a badger and a boar. So I don't know how well they'll do, but 8's the giant elk, and that's really what I was hoping for.
When Marsashi sees the elk, he's going to get really upset because you let him feed you guys that awful jerky, and you could have pulled a whole meal out this bag the entire time.
Oh no, this is a huge creature. Like, this would not have fit inside.
Well, elk looks like a hungry boy, so
fair.
Holg is just chewing on a rock while Marsashi has this revelation.
Look at my guy. Look at my guy.
So speed to 60 feet. Interesting. All right, so tell me again what you want it to do.
The elk, I'm thinking if a bunch of us can get on, we can ride it and go a lot quicker.
Okay.
However many need to. I know Crone is pretty quick on his own, and I think Holg might be as well, but I'm not sure.
I can book if we need.
Yeah, yeah.
Oscar and
action.
Dario together could probably be held in a wet paper sack.
We are very small and slight.
So that is an option, and it will definitely, I mean, for sure would help Rundorth. Rundorth is still not in fantastic shape. He's okay, but some of it, number one, he's kind of an older guy, and number two, he's a dwarf. And number three, he's kind of like, he was basically enslaved for the last month. So he's probably the slowest of everyone. So it would certainly help to give him a mount, quote unquote. The elk, I would imagine the elk could probably carry at least one other person, possibly two. So it'll help. So what I think we'll do is I'm gonna let me put a little thought into it. I'm gonna do a little bit more before we end, but I think what we'll do is we'll do a little bit of like a skill challenge, essentially, like a skill sequence to on the way to the city to see if you guys can get there in time and find the people that you need to find. So I'll set that up for the next session. There is one thing that I want to there's something that is going to happen on the way. So as you guys have set these creatures out, so the boar and the badger, I don't know what you can do with them. You could try to send them on their way, but they're really, they can tag along.
Chances are it's not going to go well, but I think Krone's going to try it anyway.
Yeah. Try to send them ahead as like some kind of a messenger or something.
And I'm writing as many letters as I can, rolling them up and attaching it to anything we can find.
Sure.
I will try to catch you every bird that we see.
Because they're magical creatures, they could travel all day and all night. So I'm willing to make a roll for this to see if they manage. And I'm trying to determine what is an appropriate roll for that kind of thing. Why don't you just roll a d20, Crone, for each of them, and we'll just see what happens.
So we'll go Badger, it's a 2, and Boar is a 3. Sounds about right.
Somebody got 8.
So they both head off into the hills, and you sort of lose sight and lose track, and you just hope for the best.
Something tells me that did not go well. I will hope anyway.
Sweet.
So I do think the Alphaba, the giant elk, can carry several of us, many of us. So,
swell. So, we'll do I'm going to handle some of the skill stuff in the next session, but I did want to handle one thing. At some point in the following day, Dario, everything goes black for you. You're accustomed
every other day.
You're accustomed to having incredible eyesight that's been granted or gifted to you by your patron. So even in magical darkness, you're able to see better than just about anyone. And in this moment, you feel yourself, walking or riding or whatever, but everything goes dark. And it's almost as if time stops. You recall something like this happened once before to you. But before we talk about that, I want you to tell us, what was described for us, let's say, the first time you were granted or gifted your packed weapon. What was that scene? Well, tell us that scene. Tell us that moment. What happened? How did it occur? What happened to Dario?
So that was way back when he first joined the Zentaran, and he had kind of proved himself above mooks. He had a choice to progress farther quickly, and Dario doesn't like working that hard. He's not lazy, but he just doesn't seem the rewards to like hard work, and he is a little bit arrogant. So he chose the easier, of course. He really didn't understand the implications to that, but being handed this interesting weapon, it kind of took him for a ride. It was not pretty. But eventually he got a handle on it, at least, and things quieted down, and he was able to use this weapon relatively well. And as you've seen recently, he's been able to use it better and better. But it doesn't necessarily mean that the weapon is a weapon of good.
What was the first weapon that he was able to command, like to make it materialize?
It was a dagger. It was a small dagger. It was not these great swords or anything else. The bow that he summoned, it was just a dagger.
Okay.
And it was not Dario's style. Dario does not like being up close and personal. That he really does not like that.
Mm-hmm. And being a half elf, as a boy, you had been trained in the use of the blade, the use of the bow, so you had a passing skill with weapons, just even as a youth. And then as you sort of came into maturity and started making your own decisions and carving your own path, you fell in with this group of individuals who you saw as a swift and somewhat certain path to the power, the influence, or whatever it is your ambitions were leading towards. You were embraced by this power that imbued you with the ability to make a spectacular and incredible connection with a weapon of your choice, with the ability to make it appear in your hand and then make it disappear again in the next instant, and then bring it back again at seemingly at will, at your own preferences and whim. We flash forward a little bit to just around the corner, down the stairs, in fact, in this same structure that you just left, that you're on the path walking away from the Sacred Stone Monastery. In the lower level, you had encountered a group of Durgar warriors, and you recall a moment where, again, time stopped, and it looked as if Holg and Oscar were going to be obliterated, and even you will be destroyed, or at the very least, if not killed outright, captured and disempowered. And this source of your magic, this source of your abilities, intervened somehow, seemingly stopping time and giving you the option to sort of set things on the path to your liking, to your choosing, to in your best interest, let's call it. So you experience this similar moment where it seems as if time stops. And once again, you hear the voice that you've begun getting this familiarity with. It's this deep, resonant, rumbling. It's hard to tell if it is sinister or if it is neutral or if it is benevolent. There's really no way for you to sort of suss that information out. But in this case, it has a certain edge to it. And what you hear in your head, in your mind, is this sort of almost like a disappointed laughter. You hear, you have become weak. Tell me, Dario. Are you in control of the weapon? Or is the weapon in control of you?
I am my own person, and I've always been my own person. Have I not been commanding this weapon as I have willed it? Have I not been performing to please you? You've said multiple times you've been pleased.
That is true.
Then what? Tell me. What do you see that I don't?
There are many great weapons in the world. In all of the worlds, in all of the realms of creation, far beyond what your mortal mind is capable of conceiving. But know this. The power I have imbued you with makes you the weapon. Not the device you hold, not the device you wield. I have given you a choice. The choice to find a suitable item. Be careful, Dario, that you remain in control. And that's where we will stop for tonight. A little bit of intrigue, a little bit of darkness, a little bit of
Who is
dread.
wielding
or
who,
whatnot.
Dario?
What was
Do
that?
we get to save him if we knock the stick out of his hand?
yeah, so that's where we're going to pick it up next time. So think on that, Sam. You and I will have a conversation a little bit outside of the game, above the table, outside. We'll talk a little, see what the meaning of that might have been. If it wasn't crystal clear, we'll suss some of that out and how to interpret.
Just a quick question. Does Dario have any inclination of the change, the internal change that Drown had on him? Any?
That's a good question. Let's pick it up there next time. We'll pick it up right there when we start again, because that's a really great question. Maybe this is what was needed for Dario to start gaining some internal awareness. So perfect. Great session.
Patron intervention. Don't you see what you're doing to yourself?
I gave you this great weapon. Come on, be happy. And he has the way I've been playing Dario, he has no idea at all. He's like, this is how I always been. What are you talking about? These barnacles I was born with.
Like
I was
fish.
born with these.
You smell like 3-day-old fish.
My mother was a sea elf.
We've been underground for like how many days? We all smell like.
We all smell hard.
You're all pretty funky at this point.
Weeks.
You definitely need to wash.
We've never RP'd a bath.
You know, it's one of
Beach
those.
episode.
This is not an anime.
Oscar's taken 2 this campaign, I remember.
This is true. Oscar cares about these things. And also, Oscar has magic to deal with these things. So most of the time, Oscar is actually amongst
Oscar
the group
looks
of you.
pristine.
Yeah.
No matter what. I'm swiping that damn hat every time I get splattered in blood.
Whole bathing in a bottle of alcohol.
That's true. He probably does have that, alcohol aura.
Fresh bouquet.
The bouquet, yes, exactly. Oh, great. Oh, that was another awesome session, fellas. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us for this wild ride, and we will see you next time when we out here. Remember, we hope to see you at a table someday, and it is your game. Play your way.
Okay, but what does the crown do? It's been 2 months.